Today I'm going to help you guys build a successful business with only a small amount of money. Now when I say small amount of money, I'm talking about 10,000 bucks, which sounds like a big amount of money, but really it's not that difficult to go and earn that money. Take me for example. I started when I was just 13 years old working as a caddy, 14 to 16 at McDonald's, and then I worked at a grocery store after that. Now, had I had the discipline to save money, I probably would have saved a bunch, and it really wouldn't have taken me more than a year to get this amount of money saved up. There's a lot you can actually do at 10,000 bucks, and I want you to stick around so you can hear exactly how you can do that. And we're actually going to launch a business off of this vlog that you guys can follow and track along with and see exactly how I do all of the inner workings along the journey and how we make it profitable, because we're going to make it profitable. Now, I do also want to state that I started my businesses when I was just 19 years old. Now, I started up SD Wheel, which was an eBay drop shipper, and I'll talk to you later about drop shipping, but we basically drop ship wheels on eBay, and now I own Fitment Industries Custom Offsets, Still SD Wheel, Trail Built, Archon, Anthem Off-Road, and a bunch of other automotive e-commerce companies that you may recognize. I do want to point out that when I started those up, I had $0 to my name. Now that is a very, very difficult thing to do. So that's why I'm saying that you should have 10,000, but ultimately you don't necessarily need the full $10,000. You can probably do a few of these ideas with far less money. Just listen up and you'll find out how. We get asked all the time how people should go invest their money, and 401k, crypto, stocks, whatever it may be, go buy a depreciating asset like Natalia with her $5,000 BMW that's going to be worth $3,000 in a matter of no time. Other than the depreciating asset, those are all ways that you can make money, but there's a lot of risk with them. Ultimately, you probably don't know what you're doing with crypto. I don't know what I'm doing with crypto. You see a lot of people get rich off of it, but I'm going to assume the vast majority of people are losing money or really not making a living off of that. I mean, it's really hard to make a living off of stuff like that, and nobody can predict how that stuff behaves. So what is the best way to invest that money? That is in yourself, because you've got it in you to be able to develop an idea that can make you extremely wealthy. I've said it before and I'll say it again, there are really three core types of business ideas, and that is those in the service sector, those that are software based, and then of course those that are like retail goods that you develop, you manufacture, or you private label. Hey folks, taking a quick break to remind you that all profits that my wife and I generate from this channel go directly to charity. On that note, today's sponsor for the ad is Factor. Now, Factor has fresh, never frozen meals that are ready in just 2 minutes. In fact, I'm gonna grab one right now. All you have to do is heat, enjoy, and just get on with your day and keep crushing your goals. 2 minutes. If you're like me, then you're probably too busy with your end of summer goals to cook, and you want to make sure you're still eating well. With Factor, you can skip that extra trip to the grocery store, the chopping, the prepping, all that stuff, and still get the flavor and nutrition quality that you need. That smells freaking delicious. Some of my favorite meals from Factor are the herb crusted chicken and the chorizo chili, and of course you can't go wrong with a tropical fruit and strawberry banana smoothie. Be sure to head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code STEVE50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Now that's good chicken. The best part about this is that it literally took me 2 minutes to prep this. Now that, folks, is satisfaction, and you can head to factor75.com, enter that code STEVE50 and save 50% off your first Factor box. Of the three core types of ideas, one of them is the most difficult, and that is going to be the software one. So if you want to go develop an application, it's probably one of the ones that can get you, probably the one that can get you the richest, the fastest. But you really need to have an extreme background in knowing how to code and do stuff like that. And if you don't, then you're going to need to be willing to give up some equity and go find a partner that has that know-how and that can really go and develop an idea. I actually had a really great idea to create an app out of, and I don't have those coding capabilities, so if I wanted to really hone in on that and I didn't have anything more than 10K, I would certainly go, in my opinion, it's actually such a good idea where I would certainly go leverage the know-how of someone to code and just partner with me to go ahead and code and bring that idea to fruition. You probably want to avoid that unless you really, really have the know-how to do coding. The second one would be the service. Now, service is okay to do, but it requires you to be present, it requires you to be customer facing, and it is just a lot of work. You can't really be mobile. It's not as easy to be working from home, from Florida, from wherever it may be that is not your home. Now, service is probably the one that requires the least amount of money. Some of them do require a lot of capital, but we see a ton of people in the car detailing. So mobile car detailing, you can get by with just a couple $1,000s in equipment if you go find it used or if you go buy it new. The stuff that you need to get something like that started is relatively small. The problem with doing a general service business is that it requires a lot of work. You have to be on site, in front of the customer. All of these require long hours, but that one requires long hours typically in one physical location where you're doing the service. While service is a great idea and that one might require the least amount of capital, it's not something that I would go and do because it's just so labor intensive and I want to be earning money while I'm sleeping, and I think service is one of the most difficult things to be earning you money while you're sleeping. Very few ideas will actually do that. So how do you earn money while you're sleeping? And again, I know that we did do a vlog that's similar to this, but we're honing in on how I would do it if I didn't have that huge cash pile. And that is creating a good. So that is something that is your own brand that you built, that you developed, that you manufactured, or that you have someone else manufacture for you. And surprisingly, I think the vast majority of people that have brands don't manufacture their own stuff. Like take Apple, for instance, right? They're building their phones in Taiwan or China or wherever it may be. And I don't think they have full ownership of those factories. They're leaning on someone else. You do see the design in California, but ultimately the smart way to do this is leverage someone else that knows how to do the manufacturing, knows how to do all that stuff, and you just do the branding. You make it look like your own, because frankly it is. I'm gonna pull up an awesome quote now, and I think this is a great time for it, and that is that most people get rich first and then they get weird. And people try and copy their weird rather than the grind that it took to get them there. So you wanna model the rise, not the plateau. This is such a cool quote because everybody thinks that you can go and like jump in an ice bath, or if you work out every single day, like that's gonna create the habits that's gonna make you really wealthy. Well, that's total bullshit. Stop focusing on silly stuff like that, and ultimately it's just go to work. Like go to work, go develop your product. Stop everything else you're doing, make that the priority and that the focus in your life, especially if you're young. If you don't have a family yet, and if you do have a family, still, you can still find time and make time to develop an idea. There will be sacrifices, but if you're young, if you're in college, just out of college, a student under 20, like there is no better time than right now. You have the most time that you're ever gonna have and the least amount of responsibility that you're ever gonna have. You might be saying, I do sports, all this other stuff. Trust me, you have less responsibility now than you will in the future. So take whatever time you have and develop that idea. If you look at what habits I do now, I do exercise every single day of the week, almost. Right, Tommy? Never mind, that was just I do exercise pretty much every single day of the week, but I did not exercise when I started my business. So people think that there's some discipline that will lead to these habits, but no, it's the drive and the building of the business that leads to other habits in your life, in my opinion. So what I did when I started was I worked at Jewel, a grocery store. I was going to college and I was developing this business all at the same time. And I was doing like 27 credit hours, so it was a pretty heavy workload. One other thing to avoid is everybody wants to be a social media star. Everyone wants to have an Instagram platform, a YouTube channel, and the success rate of that, again, is extremely low. So if that's something you want to do, more power to you. It is a difficult journey, and I had a huge fleet of cars to be able to help me get to where we're at right now. The problem with creating a channel on YouTube or Instagram is there's no real equity in the channel. Take Mr. Beast, right? Before he actually went and launched his Feastables launch, his D's Nuts and everything, like all he had was the channel. If he disappeared, there's no value left in his brand. Now he was smart and he went and diversified and went and created these other products, but those YouTubers that strictly just have their YouTube channel and they are the source of revenue, as soon as something happens to that person or they stop filming, there's no revenue that comes in. So how do you create an everlasting product? When I think of a new goods idea, I really like to stick with high margin items. The last video I referred to like an exhaust that I would launch. Now this one, we're actually gonna focus on something that's kind of on the low end of the mid margin. So I'll always avoid really low margin. I said avoid. I'll always avoid really low margin stuff. So if something is like less than 10 bucks, you have to create something that is so well known that you're gonna sell millions and millions and millions of them. Very, very, very difficult, but it also can be very rewarding. Take Prime sports drinks, right? Those are $2 a bottle, and people buy those by the freaking cases. So lots of ideas that you can scale and make huge because they're cheap, right? They're cheap and you need them. I mean, a sports drink it's something you need. You need fluid to rehydrate. So they tackled a really great need, and they differentiated that product. They made it really tasty. They used coconut water. Phenomenal idea that was cheap, but so hard to have something successful like that. So we're gonna focus on that mid-market area. We picked something very easy that really anybody can do. There's enough resources out there where this one is quite easy. But the easier something is to do, especially on the product and the goods end, the far more competition that you have and the far more difficult it is to be successful. So we're gonna see how successful we can be with this, and I have a gut that we'll be able to really differentiate this and make it something. What is that we're gonna try and do? We're gonna go try and build a strong brand that will translate into an apparel line. So we're gonna do sweatshirts, shirts, and stuff that really embodies an idea. And Tommy actually came up with a great idea, and we're not going to go into that yet. So the goal is to really make something that's catchy, something that people can rally around. Like the Sea Boys have Life Wide Open. That's kind of self-explanatory. Go live your life, have fun. Danny Duncan, Virginity Rocks. That one's a fun one to wear on the shirt. So it's what can we do that's a cool and quick, concise saying that people can rally around. Here's kind of the bare bones how we're gonna start that. And then again, if you guys hit that subscribe button right now, you will see us actually doing the nitty-gritty parts of developing this and building it. And that's what's really gonna help you to be successful in launching your own brand. Understanding how it's done versus someone just sitting here telling you a loose synopsis of what can be done. This is what the whole video is built up to. So it is what would we do, and that is build some kind of good, and then it's how would we be successful at that. So what we are gonna do, I'm gonna just cover the kind of the loose bullet points right now, and then future series is gonna cover the nitty gritty and give you the real core info that you can just look at and copy to create your own product. But right now we're gonna go look at how we can source these t-shirts. So there are a lot of people that manufacture t-shirts and sweatshirts, and we already have some connections with Hamilton Collection, but you really don't need to have connections to be able to do this. There are plenty of people, you can just Google search, you can find lots of people that can manufacture these where you can pick them up locally. You can even find websites that design and drop ship your product for you. Very easy. How do we differentiate this brand? So differentiating it is creating that strong tie. What is the brand name gonna be? How can we get people to rally around that? That's one of the most difficult things to do is that's really how you make something successful is with the marketing. So we're gonna build an Instagram page, we're gonna build threads, Facebook. We will create a pay-per-click campaign around that to draw in new traffic. And then we need to create a website. So easier time than ever to go build a website right now. There's platforms like Shopify that really you just kind of plug and play with what your product is. And then we are gonna leverage our channel. If you have a channel that you've already established subscribers or followers, or even if you have 1,000 followers on your Instagram page, you can leverage those followers and have them help you get the business launched off the ground. So we will definitely leverage the Hamilton Collection to push this out. In addition to all that, we need to make sure we have a good quality t-shirt. So we wanna make sure the quality is good, the cut is right. There are a lot of different cuts that might fit tight or maybe out of style. Comfort is key. We will leverage people to help design the logos. You can find people on Fiverr, you can find people overseas that will actually design something really cool, very cheap. Again, this idea will actually take, even though we said 10,000 bucks, you could really launch this idea with a few $1,000s and be successful at it. As we build a series around launching and building this actual business, we're gonna show you the costs, and you will find out that this is probably only a couple $1,000 idea. I know I'm going over a specific apparel business, but really this applies to almost anything that you can build. You wanna have the same mind for quality, mind for what your consumer likes, branding. So very applicable to really any product that you're gonna build. And then we'll help go over the journey of how you can source different things, because t-shirts might be easy, but it might be difficult to do an idea that you have. So we'll cover that in future vlogs, how you can go build something more difficult. I am a big fan of cutting out the middleman though, so I did mention that you can go find people to fulfill, drop ship, and manufacture these merchandise, but if you find a way to do that all on your own, then you're gonna make more money at the end of the day. And we are gonna build this t-shirt model for profit. As you know, the Hamilton Collection, all the money that my wife and I make from this channel, we donate to charity. We're all about sharing cars, sharing everything that we have with the community. That's what the channel is all about. Now this t-shirt and this apparel business, this is gonna be for money, because we wanna show you guys that it can be done, and we wanna show you guys how to do it. We'll also show you guys how to price it. We're gonna show you how to look at the competition and understand where you need to price to hit that top of the bell curve on maximum profitability. It might not mean that you're selling the most shirts, but it means you're selling the right amount to make the most amount of money at the end of the day. So hit that subscribe button. You guys are gonna really wanna check out this series. This will be valuable. We're not gonna charge anything, we never do. And then it is completely unbiased, because off of this channel, I make absolutely no money. So like, comment, and subscribe, and learn a bunch from us. Thanks so much for watching.